Jack Harlan lived alone on the ice world called Galactivus. He was 62 years old, with gray hair and hands rough from many years of work. Jack had been a mechanic in the old border wars. He fixed fighter ships under fire and kept engines running when everything else broke. Now he stayed far from big cities and busy spaceports. His home was a small metal building with a wide hangar door. Inside, the place smelled of oil, hot metal, and old coffee. The building sat on a flat plain of hard snow and ice. No trees grew here, no grass, just white ground that stretched forever under a pale gray sky. Jack liked the quiet. He liked being alone. Most days he worked on mining machines or small cargo shuttles that stopped by for quick repairs. He charged fair prices and never asked too many questions. People trusted him for that. One night, the wind started early. It came low and mean, pushing snow against the walls like angry hands. Jack stood at his workbench, wearing thick gloves and a heavy coat. He was welding a broken thruster from a delivery drone. Blue sparks flew up and died in the cold air. The radio played soft music, but the storm made it hard to hear. Jack did not mind. He liked the sound of wind. It reminded him he was still alive. Around midnight the pounding started. Not the wind this time. Something heavy hit the outer door 3 times, slow and strong. Jack turned off the welder. He listened. The pounding came again. He picked up a heavy wrench, just in case, and walked to the door. The small window in the door was covered in frost. He wiped it with his sleeve and looked out. 16 tall shapes stood in the storm. They were not human. They had wings folded tight against their backs. Scales covered their bodies, shining blue, green, and silver, even in the weak light. Long tails dragged in the snow. Their eyes glowed like coals. Frost hung thick on their faces and wings. One of them, the biggest, stepped closer. His scales were deep blue, almost black in places. Steam came from his mouth in thick clouds. Jack opened the inner door a crack. Cold air rushed in like a knife. "What do you want?" Jack asked. His voice was calm. The big one spoke. His words came slow and rough, like stones grinding together. "Human, we are lost. The storm caught us. Our ship is down many miles from here. We need shelter. We will not hurt you." Jack looked at them one by one. 16 of them. All warriors, he could tell. They carried long weapons strapped to their sides, plasma lances, sharp blades made for cutting through armor. Their armor looked strong, but cracked in places from the cold. One smaller one, with bright green scales, leaned on another. She shivered hard. Ice covered her wing edges like white glass. Jack knew the stories. These were Drary, dragon people from the far side of the neutral zone. They did not like humans much. Humans were small, soft, short-lived. Drary called them prey species in old records. Yet here they stood, asking for help instead of taking it. Jack thought for a long moment. The wind screamed outside. Snow blew sideways past the door. He could shut the door and let the storm take them. No one would know. No one would blame him. But he remembered nights in the war when he had been cold and hurt. Friends had pulled him inside when they could have left him. He remembered warm hands and hot soup when he thought he would die. He stepped back and opened the door all the way. "Get inside," he said, "before you turn into ice statues." The Drary looked at each other. The big one, who Jack would later learn was named Vyrath, bowed his head a little. "We thank you, human." They came in one by one, careful not to bump the walls with their wings. The hangar felt small with them inside. Their claws clicked on the metal floor. Steam rose from their bodies as the warm air hit them. Jack closed the door and locked it. The wind sound dropped to a low moan. He pointed to the big open bay where he kept spare parts and heaters. "Over there. Sit by the heaters. Don't touch anything hot. They moved slowly. Some sat on the floor, others stood, wings half open to catch the heat. Jack walked to the small kitchen corner. He had a pot of stew on the stove. Beef, potatoes, carrots, nothing fancy. He turned up the flame and pulled out more bowls. He added extra water to make it stretch. Vyrath watched him. You give us food too? Jack shrugged. You look hungry. Cold makes you hungrier. Eat. He filled 16 bowls and passed them around. The Drary took them carefully, with clawed hands. They sniffed the steam, then tasted. One of them, a young male with silver scales named Corvex, made a surprised sound. It is warm inside, he said. Another, the green-scaled female named Sylara, looked at Jack. Why do you help us? We are not your people. Jack sat on an old crate with his own bowl. Right now you're just cold and tired. That's all I see. The rest can wait until morning. They ate in silence for a while. The only sounds were spoons on metal and the storm outside. Jack watched them. He saw how they protected the smaller ones, how Vyrath kept looking at the door like he expected trouble. They were not used to being weak. They were not used to kindness from strangers. After the food, Jack brought out blankets, old army ones, thick and heavy. He gave them to the ones who shivered most. Then he turned on more heaters and checked the generators. Everything ran steady. Vyrath stood up. He was taller than Jack by a full head and a half. We are the Drary Vanguard. Elite scouts. Our Emperor will hear of this night. We owe you a debt. Jack waved a hand. Don't worry about debts. Just stay warm. Storm should pass by morning. He went back to his workbench but kept one eye on them. They talked in low voices in their own language. Sometimes they looked at him with wonder, sometimes with respect. One young warrior, Elendor, kept staring at the tools on the wall like they were magic. Jack smiled to himself. He had seen that look before, on new pilots seeing a ship engine for the first time. Outside, the storm grew worse. Snow piled against the walls. The lights flickered once, then held. Jack made fresh coffee and offered it. Most Drari said no. One tried it and sneezed a small burst of blue flame that made everyone laugh, even Jack. Hours passed. The warriors rested. Some closed their eyes, others kept watch. Jack stayed awake. He worked on small things, cleaned tools, checked fuel lines. Not yet. He did not know it then, but that night would change many things. 1 human, 16 dragons, a storm, a bowl of stew. Simple things, but in a big, cold galaxy, simple things sometimes matter most. The wind howled on. Inside the hangar, 16 warriors slept warmer than they had in days, and Jack Harlan, the old mechanic, sat with his coffee and watched the door. The storm did not stop. It grew stronger. Wind hit the hangar walls like fists. Snow piled high against the doors. Inside, the air stayed warm from the heaters. Jack kept them running full power. The generators hummed steady in the back room. He checked the fuel levels twice. Plenty left for the night. The 16 Drary warriors sat or lay in the big open bay. Their wings stayed folded tight. Some closed their eyes, but most stayed awake. They watched Jack move around the shop. He did not look afraid. He looked busy. That made them curious. Jack noticed their armor first. The cold had hurt it. Small cracks showed on the metal plates. Thin ice formed inside the joints. Their plasma lances, long weapons that shot hot blue fire, did not work right. When one warrior tried to test his lance, it sparked weak and died. The cold had killed the power cells. Jack walked over. Let me see that. The warrior, a tall one named Corvex with silver scales, handed it over slowly. Jack took it like he had held 1,000 broken tools before. He sat on a low stool and opened the side panel with a small screwdriver. Inside, frost covered the wires. One connector had popped loose. Cold makes things brittle, Jack said. Same as people. He pulled a small heater lamp from the shelf. He set it close and let it warm the inside for a few minutes. Then he wiped away the ice with a clean rag. He found spare wire in a drawer, thick copper from old ship repairs. He cut, stripped, and soldered it in place. His hands moved slow but sure. No shakes, no mistakes. Corvex watched every move. You fix things with small tools? Jack nodded. Tools don't care who holds them. They just work if you know how. When the lance powered up again, it glowed strong blue. Corvex tested it. Small burst into the air. No bang, just clean fire. He looked at Jack with new eyes. Others brought their weapons, one by one. Jack fixed 3 lances that night. He cleaned ice from triggers. He replaced bad batteries with ones he pulled from old mining gear. He even used duct tape on a cracked handle. The warriors laughed low when they saw the gray tape on their proud weapons, but they did not complain. Next came the armor. Solara, the green-scaled female, stepped forward. She moved stiff. One shoulder plate hung loose. Ice had cracked the joint underneath. She could not lift her arm high. Jack looked at it. Take it off. Careful. She removed the plate. Underneath, her scales looked dull from the cold. A thin cut showed on the muscle where sharp ice had bitten. Jack got his first aid kit. He cleaned the cut with warm water and antiseptic. Then he put a bandage on it, tight but not too tight. Solara watched him work. Humans bleed easy, yet you help those who do not bleed the same. Jack tied the bandage. Bleeding is bleeding, pain is pain, doesn't matter the color. He turned to the armor. He heated the cracked joint with a small torch. Metal softened. He hammered it gentle with a rubber mallet. Then he used epoxy, strong glue made for ships in space. He clamped it and let it set. While he waited, he checked her wing thrusters. Small jets on her back for short flights. Ice clogged the vents. Jack used a thin wire brush and compressed air. He blew out the frost. Then he oiled the moving parts with special grease that stayed soft and cold. When he finished, Solara stretched her wings. The thrusters hissed clean. She looked surprised. It feels light again. Jack wiped his hands. Good. Don't crash it again. More warriors came. Young Elendor, with pale silver scales, had a broken scale on his chest. It had split when he fell in the crash. It hurt when he breathed deep. Jack looked close. That's not metal. That's you. Elendor nodded. A scale. It will grow back. But slow. It pulls now. Jack thought. He went to his scrap bin. He found a thin sheet of flexible alloy. Light, strong, used for ship skins. He cut a small patch. He heated it soft. Then he shaped it to match the curve of Elendor's chest. He used medical adhesive, strong but safe for skin. He pressed the patch over the broken scale. Keep it dry, Jack said. It will hold until the new one grows. Elendor touched it. You cover my weakness with your metal. Jack smiled small. Sometimes weakness needs a friend. The night went on. Jack did not stop. He moved from one warrior to the next. He fixed a tail brace on one. He cleared ice from wing membranes on another. He even tuned a small comm unit that belonged to Vyrath. The leader's voice box had frost in it. Jack dried it careful with warm air. Vyrath stood near the workbench. He watched everything. You work alone here. No help, no army. Yet you do more than many armies. Jack poured fresh coffee. He offered a cup to Vyrath. The dragon took it between 2 claws. He sniffed it. Then he sipped. His eyes opened wide. He sneezed once. Small blue spark. Jack laughed quiet. Too hot? Jack asked. No, Vyrath said. Too alive. They talked while Jack worked. Vyrath told stories of the Drary Empire. Big ships, old battles, honor codes written in stone. Jack listened. He asked simple questions. How do your wings stay warm in space? What makes your fire blue? Vyrath answered. He asked back. Why live alone? Why fix things for strangers? Jack shrugged. Fixing keeps my hands busy, keeps my mind quiet. Outside the storm roared. Inside tools clinked. Heaters hummed. Warriors rested easier. Their gear worked better. Their bodies warmed. They shared food from their packs. Dried meat that tasted like smoke and spice. Jack tried a piece. Strong. Good. Around 4 in the morning, the wind dropped a little. Snow still fell, but slower. Jack checked the outside camera. White everywhere. No end in sight. He turned back to the bay. Most warriors slept now. Wings covered their bodies like blankets. Soft breathing filled the air. Vyrath still stood watch. Solara sat close to a heater. She looked at Jack. You did not have to do this, she said. We could have waited outside. Jack cleaned his hands on a rag. Waiting in cold kills. I've seen it. In war, on ships, doesn't matter the species. Solara tilted her head. Humans are strange. Small, soft, but stubborn. Jack chuckled. Stubborn keeps us going. He made one last round, checked every heater, checked the generators, checked the door locks. Then he sat on his old crate with a fresh cup of coffee. He looked at the sleeping warriors. Big, strong, dangerous. But tonight they looked like tired travelers. Nothing more. Vyrath walked over. He spoke low. When the storm ends, we will leave. But the debt remains. The Drari do not forget kindness. Jack sipped his coffee. Just don't bring another storm next time. Vyrath made a low rumble. Almost a laugh. We will try. The night stretched on. The storm still howled. But inside the hangar, something new grew. Not friendship yet. Not trust. Just a small understanding. 1 human, 16 dragons. Tools, heat, coffee. Simple things. And in the quiet hours before dawn, Jack Harlan kept working. Because that was what he did. He fixed what was broken. Even if the broken things had wings and fire in their breath. The storm started to slow just before first light. The wind dropped from screams to low moans. Snow still fell, but softer now, like quiet feathers. Inside the hangar, the heaters kept running. The air smelled of warm metal, coffee, and the faint smoky scent from the dreary warriors. Jack stood at the small window near the door. He wiped frost from the glass with his sleeve. Outside looked white and empty. No shapes moved. No lights showed. The sky stayed heavy gray. Dawn came slow on Glacivis. He turned back to the bay. Most warriors slept. Wings covered their bodies. Soft rumbles came from their chests, like distant thunder when they breathed. Vyrath stood near the center. He had not slept much. His blue scales caught the dim light from the overhead bulbs. He looked at the door, then at Jack. Jack walked over. Storm's easing. You can try your beacon soon. Vyrath nodded slow. I did not want to bring trouble to your door. Jack poured the last of the coffee into 2 mugs. He handed one to Vyrath. The big warrior held it careful between claws. Trouble finds its own way, Jack said. You're not bringing it. You're just calling home. Vyrath drank. No sneeze this time. He looked thoughtful. Our beacon is hidden. Deep code. Only our fleet hears it. But when it speaks, they come fast. Jack leaned against a crate. How fast? Soon, Vyrath said. Very soon. Jack did not ask more. He went to check the generators one last time. Fuel low, but enough. He shut down 2 heaters to save power. The base stayed warm. Solara woke then. She stretched her wings careful. The patch on her shoulder moved smooth. No pain showed on her face. She walked to Jack. You fixed more than metal last night, she said. You gave us rest. Drari do not rest easy among strangers. Jack shrugged. Fair trade. She made a low sound, almost a laugh. Humans joke in strange ways. The other warriors stirred. Elendor touched the metal patch on his chest. It held firm. Corvex tested his lance again. Clean blue glow. They gathered gear, folded blankets, stacked bowls. They moved quiet, respectful. Vyrath stepped to the center of the bay. He pulled a small black box from his belt, no bigger than a human fist. He pressed a side button. A tiny red light blinked once, twice, then steady. He spoke low into it, words in Drari tongue, short, clear. Jack did not understand them, but he felt the weight. Vyrath finished. The light turned green. It is done, Vyrath said. They know we live. They know where. They know who kept us safe. Jack looked at the box. Jack Harlan, right? Vyrath bowed his head. Jack Harlan, the human who opened his door. Jack rubbed the back of his neck. Hope they don't think I kidnapped you. The warriors rumbled soft laughs. Even Vyrath's eyes crinkled. Outside, the snow stopped falling. A pale line of light touched the horizon. The sky cleared enough to show stars fading. Jack opened the small side door a crack. Cold air rushed in, but not as sharp. He stepped out onto the packed snow. The warriors followed, slow and careful. Their claws sank deep. They stood together in the quiet. No wind now, just silence and cold. Jack looked up. Nothing yet, just empty sky. Then a faint hum started, low at first, like a far engine. It grew, steady, deep. The ground trembled a little under their feet. Jack looked at Vyrath. That your ride? Vyrath looked up. Not yet. Scouts first. High above, two small shapes appeared, black against the gray. They dropped fast. No noise until close, then a sharp whine. They landed soft on the snow, 50 meters away. Two smaller dragons stepped out, armor bright, weapons ready. They saw Vyrath and saluted sharp, wing to chest. Vyrath spoke quick. The scouts looked at Jack. One bowed, the other stared like he saw something impossible. The scouts reported, their words fast. Vyrath listened. Then he turned to Jack. The fleet moves, Vyrath said. The Emperor heard the beacon. He heard your name. He gives order. Jack raised an eyebrow. Order for what? Vyrath's voice dropped lower. To honor the debt. To show respect. To protect what was protected. Jack looked back at the sky. The hum grew louder. Much louder. Far up, lights appeared. Not stars, ships. Many ships. They came in perfect lines. Green hulls curved smooth. Fat in the middle. Narrow at ends. Like big green fruit hanging in space. Humans called them avocado ships because of the shape and color. Jack had seen pictures. Never this many. He counted quick. 10, 20 more. They filled the sky. Engines glowed soft blue. Just silent power. 107. Jack stood still. His coffee mug hung forgotten in his hand. The warriors around him straightened, wings half opened. Pride showed in their eyes. Vyrath stepped forward. They come for us, he said, but they come because of you. Jack swallowed. That's a lot of company for one hangar. Sylara stood beside him. It is not company, it is proof. The big ships stayed high, but smaller dropships broke away. 6 of them. They fell gentle, landed in a wide circle around the hangar. Ramps lowered. More Drari stepped out. Officers, elders. One wore gold marks on his scales, high rank. The elder walked straight to Vyrath. They spoke low. Then the elder turned to Jack. The elder bowed deep. Wings spread wide in respect. Jack Harlan, he said in clear human speech. The Emperor sends thanks. A single human gave shelter to 16 of our blood. Honor demands we answer. Jack looked from the elder to the ships, to the warriors, back to the elder. I just gave them a place to sit and some stew, Jack said. The elder smiled, small flash of sharp teeth. Sometimes the smallest act carries the farthest. Behind them, more dropships landed. Crates came down, big ones, metal boxes marked with Drari symbols, tools, parts, medical kits, things Jack had only seen in catalogs. Vyrath stepped close to Jack. We leave soon, but we leave better because of you. Jack nodded slow. Safe travels. The warriors gathered. They bowed to Jack one by one. Elendor touched the metal patch on his chest and smiled. Sylara pressed a small green scale into Jack's hand. Warm, smooth. Keep it, she said, for luck. Jack closed his fingers around it. Thanks. The dropships loaded. Warriors climbed in. Vyrath stayed last. He looked at Jack. This is not goodbye, Vyrath said. Debt lasts longer than storms. Jack met his eyes. Then don't be strangers. Vyrath bowed once more. Then he walked up the ramp. The ramps closed. Engines hummed. Ships lifted slow. Snow swirled under them. They rose, joined the big fleet above. Jack stood alone in the snow. The hangar door opened behind him. Coffee cold in his hand. The sky filled with green shapes. 107 Avocado ships. They turned slow. Engines brightened. Then they moved, smooth, silent, away. Jack watched until they vanished into the stars. He walked back inside, closed the door. The bay felt empty now, quiet. He sat on his crate, looked at the green scale in his palm. Outside, the sun rose weak but steady. New day on Glassivus. Jack smiled small. He did not know what came next, but he knew one thing. The light in his hangar would stay on, just in case. Jack stood in the open snow for a long time after the last small dropship lifted away. The sky looked empty again. Only pale sunlight and thin clouds remained. His boots crunched as he turned back to the hangar. The green scale from Solara felt warm in his pocket. He did not know what to do with it yet. Maybe keep it on the workbench. Maybe just hold it sometimes. Inside, the bay felt too big and too quiet. Heaters still ran, but the space where 16 big warriors had sat now looked bare. Blankets lay folded in a neat pile. Empty bowls sat stacked by the sink. Jack picked up one bowl. It had small claw marks on the rim. He smiled a little and set it down. He walked to the coffee pot. Empty. He started a fresh brew. The machine gurgled. Normal sound. Safe sound. He needed normal right now. The radio on the wall crackled. A voice came through. It was Ryan from the fuel depot 10 kilometers east. Jack, you copy? Storm's done. You okay over there? Jack picked up the mic. Yeah, Ryan. All good. Just cleaning up. Megan's voice jumped in next. We heard weird stuff on the shortwave. Big signals. Ships in orbit. You see anything? Jack paused. Saw some traffic. Nothing bad. Ryan laughed. You sure? Sounded like half the galaxy showed up. Jack looked out the window. Something like that. He didn't say more. Not yet. They would see soon enough. He went back to work. Picked up tools, put them away, wiped down the bench, kept his hands moving. It helped him think. Then the sky changed again. A low rumble started. Not thunder, deeper, steady. Jack stepped outside once more. He shaded his eyes. High up, the green shapes returned. Not all of them, just a few. 5 big Avocado ships moved slow into low orbit. They hung there like giant fruit in the daylight. Sunlight caught their hulls, soft green glow. Smaller craft came down fast. Not dropships this time. Bigger shuttles, wide, smooth. They landed in a half circle around the hangar. Snow puffed up around them. Ramps dropped with a soft hiss. Drary stepped out. Not warriors in battle armor. These wore long robes, gold and silver threads, elders, diplomats. One carried a tall staff with a glowing blue stone. Another held a flat case made of dark wood. Jack stayed by the door. He did not move forward. He waited. The elder with the staff walked first. Tall, older scales faded to pale blue, eyes sharp but kind. He stopped a few steps from Jack. "Jack Harlan," the elder said, voice clear and strong. "I am Thalor, high voice of the Drary court. Our emperor sends me." Jack nodded once. "Hello, Thalor." Thalor bowed, wings spread halfway in respect. "You sheltered our vanguard. You fed them. You repaired their wounds and their pride. One human, alone, in a storm." The emperor felt this act in his heart. It wasn't much. Just a roof and some hot food. Thalor smiled, small, warm. "Small to you, large to us. Honor is not measured in size. It is measured in choice." Behind Thalor, others carried crates, big metal ones. They set them down in rows. More shuttles landed, more crates, tools, machines, cases of glowing vials, rolls of strong cable. Things Jack had only read about in trade catalogs. Thalor opened the wooden case. Inside lay a gauntlet, made of dark scales, polished, flexible. Small lights ran along the edges. It looked like it belonged on a Drary arm, but sized for a human. "This is the mark of kin," Thalor said, "given to those who stand as family. Wear it or keep it. It carries our promise. No Drary will raise claw or fire against you or yours, ever." Jack took the gauntlet, heavy but balanced, warm to the touch. He turned it over. "Fine work. Beautiful." "I don't know what to say," Jack said. Thalor closed the case. "Say nothing. Accept it. That is enough." More people arrived then. Not Drary, humans, from nearby outposts. Eric drove up first in his tracked rover. Olivia sat beside him. Brandon and Nicole followed in another vehicle. Kyle and Grace came last on snowbikes. They parked and walked over slow, eyes wide, mouths open. Eric stared at the ships. "Jack, what the hell is this?" Jack held up the gauntlet. "Long story. Short version, they needed a place to wait out the storm." Olivia looked at the crates. "And now they're paying you back with all this?" Thalor stepped forward. "Not payment. Gift. Debt of honor. Your friend Jack showed kindness when none was required. We return it in kind." Brandon whistled low. "That's a lot of kind." The Drary worked quick. They opened crates, showed contents. Advanced welders that needed no rods. Power cells that lasted years. Medical pods small enough for one person, but strong enough to heal deep wounds. Fabric that stayed warm in any cold. Tools Jack had dreamed of owning. One crate held rare metals. Alloys humans paid big credits for. Enough to keep the outpost running forever. Jack looked at it all. "This is too much." Thalor shook his head. "It is what honor demands, and more will come if needed." The humans gathered closer. They touched the crates, asked questions. The Drary answered patient. No rush, no pride, just calm. Kyle picked up a small device. "This is a phase shifter, for hull repairs and vacuum. Never seen one outside a museum." A Drary technician nodded. "Yours now. Use it well." Jack watched his neighbors. Shock turned to wonder, then to quiet thanks. They looked at him different now. Not just the old mechanic. Something more. Thalor spoke to Jack again. "Our fleet will patrol these lanes now. Quiet, no noise, but here when needed. Your routes, your people, safe." "Because of one night? Because of one choice," Thalor said. The sun climbed higher. Light bounced off the green hulls above. The shuttles loaded empty crates back, ready to leave. Thalor bowed once more. "We go, but we watch. Call if you need, The beacon stays with you. He handed Jack a small black disc. Same as Vyrath's beacon, but simpler. One button. Jack took it. Thanks. Thalor walked to his shuttle. Others followed. Ramps closed. Engines hummed. Ships rose, joined the 5 big ones in orbit. Then all 5 turned. Slow. Graceful. They moved away, joined the rest of the fleet far above. The humans stood together in the snow. Quiet. Eric broke the silence. Jack, you just changed everything. Jack looked at the sky. Maybe. Or maybe I just let some cold people inside. Megan smiled. Same thing. They helped carry crates inside. The hangar filled again. Not with warriors. With possibility. Jack set the gauntlet on the shelf, next to his old tools, the green scale beside it. He made fresh coffee, poured cups for everyone. They sat, talked low, laughed a little. Outside the wind stayed calm, the sun shone steady. A new day, a new promise, one mechanic, one act, a whole fleet, and the galaxy felt a little smaller. Weeks passed on Glassivus. The snow stayed thick, but the storms grew weaker. Jack Harlan went back to his normal days. He fixed mining rigs. He patched shuttles. He drank coffee. He listened to the radio. Life felt the same, but it was not. The hangar looked different now. Crates from the Drari filled one whole wall. New tools hung on racks. Power cells glowed soft blue on shelves. The medical pod sat quiet in a corner, ready if anyone got hurt. Jack used the new welders first. They worked clean and fast. No smoke, no sweat. He shook his head and smiled. Too easy, he said to the empty bay. Laura, his old robot assistant, floated near the workbench. She was a small drone with a screen face and a dry voice. You complain about good tools. Strange human habit. Jack wiped grease from his hands. Good tools make me feel lazy. Laura's screen showed a small smile icon. Lazy with results. Efficient. People from nearby outposts came more often now. Eric brought his broken rover. Olivia needed a new thruster mount. Brandon and Nicole asked about the glowing vials. Kyle wanted to see the phase shifter work. Grace just liked the coffee. They talked about the ships, the green fleet, the big change. Word spread fast across the human colonies. Stories grew. Some said Jack saved the galaxy. Others said he made friends with dragons. Jack laughed when he heard them. I just didn't close the door. One day Ryan called on the comm. Jack, you hear the news? What news? Trade lanes, the ones near the neutral zone. Dreary patrols started. Quiet ones. No trouble. Just watching. Pirates stopped coming through. Ships move safe now. Jack leaned back in his chair. That so? Megan jumped on the line. They're protecting us. Because of you. Jack looked at the gauntlet on the shelf. It sat next to the green scale. Not because of me. Because someone was kind once. More stories. More thanks. Jack did not like the attention. He turned down interviews. He stayed in his hangar. Fixed things. Kept busy. Months turned into a year. Glassivus seasons changed slow. Summer came, short and cold, but brighter. Jack stepped outside more. The sun felt good on his face. One evening a small ship landed near the hangar. Not a dropship. A scout craft. Sleek. Green. One figure stepped out. Tall. Blue scales. Vyrath. Jack walked out to meet him. No surprise. Just a nod. Vyrath bowed. Jack Harlan. Vyrath. Been a while. The dragon looked around. Your home stands strong. Jack shrugged. With your gifts, it's hard to fall apart. They went inside. Jack made coffee. Vyrath took a cup. No sneeze this time. He sipped slow. I come with words from the Emperor, Vyrath said. Our patrols continue. Your people stay safe. More gifts will arrive when needed. But I come for myself too. Jack sat across from him. What for? Vyrath set the cup down. To see the man who changed our view. We thought humans weak, small, prey. You showed different. One act, one night, it ripples still. Jack looked into his coffee. Ripples stop eventually. Vyrath shook his head. Not this one. Young warriors hear your story. They learn honor from it. Not just strength, kindness too. Jack stayed quiet for a moment. Good. World needs more of that. Vyrath stood. I leave you a small thing. He pulled a thin chain from his robe. On it hung a tiny blue crystal. Wear it or keep it. It holds a piece of our homeworld fire. Warm always, for cold nights. Jack took it. The crystal felt warm through his fingers. Thanks. Vyrath walked to the door. He stopped, turned. The hangar light. You still leave it on? Jack smiled small. Every storm. Vyrath bowed deep. Then we know where to find shelter. The scout ship lifted quiet. Gone into the sky. Years went by. Jack grew older, hair whiter, hands slower. But he still worked, still fixed things. Laura stayed with him. The outposts grew. More people came to Glassivus. They built small homes. A real town started. They named a street after him, Harlan Way. Jack grumbled about it, but he walked it sometimes. Pilots talked in bars on other worlds. They spoke of the Avocado fleet, how it guarded human ships, how it never asked for thanks, how it started with one mechanic in a snowstorm. Children learned the story in school, not as legend, as fact. A simple man, a simple choice, big change. One winter night, years later, another storm came. Big one. Wind howled. Snow blinded everything. Jack sat by the heater. Coffee hot. Gauntlet on the shelf. Crystal around his neck. Light on outside. A knock came. Heavy. Familiar. Jack opened the door. 3 young Drari stood there. Wings folded tight. Frost on scales. Eyes wide. The leader spoke. Human, we are lost. Our ship is down. We seek shelter. Jack stepped aside. Dead end, before you freeze. They came inside, shivering, grateful. Jack made stew, turned up heaters, fixed their gear, listened to their stories. Outside, the storm raged. Inside, warmth grew. Laura floated close. Same as before. Jack nodded. Same as always. The light stayed on. In a big, cold galaxy, one small hangar became a beacon. Not for ships, for kindness. And every time a storm came, someone found the door open, because Jack Harlan never turned anyone away. And the debt of honor lived on. Quiet, strong, forever.